Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today we are once again going to be continuing to read Homer's Iliad. So, let's get going. Troy yet found grace before the Olympian sire. He armed their hands and filled their breasts with fire. The Greeks repulsed, retreat behind their wall, or in the trench on heaps confusedly fall. First of the foe great Hector marched along, with terror clothed and more than mortal strong. As the bold hound that gives the lion chase, with beating bosom and with eager pace, hangs on his haunch or fastens on his heels, guards as he turns, and circles as he wheels. Thus oft the Grecians turned, but still they flew. Thus following, Hector still the hindmost slew. When flying they had passed the trench profound, and many a chief lay gasping on the ground. Before the ships a desperate stand they made, and fired the troops, and called the gods to aid. Fierce on his rattling chariot Hector came, his eyes like Gorgon shot a sanguine flame, that withered all their host. Like Mars he stood, dire as the monster, dreadful as the god. Their strong distress the wife of Jove surveyed, then pensive thus to war's triumphant maid: O daughter of that god whose arm can wield the avenging bolt and shake the sable shield, now in this moment of her last despair shall wretched Greece no more confess our care, condemned to suffer the full force of fate, and drain the dregs of heaven's relentless hate. Gods shall one raging hand thus level all. What numbers fell, what numbers yet shall fall? What power divine shall Hector's wrath assuage? Still swells the slaughter, and still grows the rage. So spake the imperial regent of the skies, to whom the goddess with the azure eyes. Long since had Hector stained these fields with gore, stretched by some Argive on his native shore. But he above the sire of heaven withstands, mocks our attempts, and slights our just demands. The stubborn god, inflexible and hard, forgets my service and deserved reward. Saved I for this his favourite son distressed, by stern Eurystheus with long labours pressed. He begged with tears, he begged, in deep dismay. I shot from heaven and gave his arm the day. Oh, had my wisdom known this dire event, when to grim Pluto's gloomy gates he went. The triple dog had never felt his chain, nor Styx been crossed, nor hell explored in vain. Averse to me of all his heaven of gods, at Thetis' suit the partial thunderer nods. To grace her gloomy, fierce, resenting son, my hopes are frustrate, and my Greeks undone. Some future day perhaps he may be moved to call his blue-eyed maid his best beloved. Haste, launch thy chariot through yon ranks to ride, myself will arm and thunder at thy side. Then, goddess, say, shall Hector glory then, that terror of the Greeks, that man of men, when Juno's self and Pallas shall appear, all dreadful in the crimson walks of war? What mighty Trojan then on yonder shore, expiring pale and terrible no more, shall feast the fowls and glut the dogs with gore? She ceased, and Juno reined the steeds with care, heaven's awful empress, Saturn's other heir. Pallas meanwhile her various veil unbound, with flowers adorned, with art immortal crowned. The radiant robe her sacred fingers wove floats in rich waves, and spreads the court of Jove. Her father's arms her mighty limbs invest, his curious blazes on her ample breast. The vigorous power the trembling car ascends, Shook by her arm, the massy javelin bends, huge, ponderous, strong, that when her fury burns, proud tyrants humbles and whole hosts o'erturns. Saturnia lends the lash, the coursers fly. Smooth glides the chariot through the liquid sky. Heaven's gates spontaneous open to the powers, heaven's golden gates kept by the winged hours. Commissioned in an alternate watch they stand, the sun's bright portals and the sky's command. Close or unfold the eternal gates of day, bar heaven with clouds or roll those clouds away. The sounding hinges ring, the clouds divide, prone down the steep of heaven their course they guide. But Jove, incensed from Ida's top, surveyed, and thus enjoined the many-coloured maid. Juno and Minerva going to assist the Greeks. Thaumantia, mount the winds and stop their car, against the highest who shall wage the war. If furious yet they dare the vain debate, thus have I spoke, and what I speak is fate. Their coursers crushed beneath the wheels shall lie, their car in fragments scattered o'er the sky. My lightning these rebellious shall confound, and hurl them flaming headlong to the ground. Condemned for 10 revolving years to weep, the wounds impressed by burning thunder deep. So shall Minerva learn to fear our ire, nor dare to combat hers and nature's sire. For Juno, headstrong and imperious still, she claims some title to transgress our will. Swift as the wind the various-coloured maid from Ida's top her golden wings displayed. To great Olympus' shining gate she flies, there meets the chariot rushing down the skies, restrains their progress from the bright abodes, and speaks the mandate of the sire of gods. What frenzy, goddesses, what rage can move celestial minds to tempt the wrath of Jove? Desist, obedient to his high command. This is his word, and know his word shall stand. His lightning your rebellion shall confound, and hurl ye headlong flaming to the ground. Your horses crushed beneath the wheels shall lie, your car in fragments shattered o'er the sky. Yourselves condemned 10 rolling years to weep, the wounds impressed by burning thunder deep. So shall Minerva learn to fear his ire, nor dare to combat hers and nature's sire. For Juno, headstrong and imperious still, she claims some title to transgress his will. But thee what desperate insolence has driven to lift thy lance against the King of heaven? Then mounting on the pinions of the wind she flew, and Juno thus her rage resigned. O daughter of that god whose arm can wield the avenging bolt and shake the dreadful shield, no more let beings of superior birth contend with Jove for this low race of earth. Triumphant now miserably slain, they breathe or perish as the fates ordain. But Jove's high counsels full effect shall find, and ever constant, ever rule mankind. She spoke, and backward turned her steeds of light, adorned with manes of gold and heavenly bright. The hours unloosened them, panting as they stood, and heaped their mangers with ambrosial food. There tied they rest in high celestial stalls, the chariot propped against the crystal walls. The pensive goddess abashed controlled, mixed with the gods, and fill their seats of gold. And with that, we are going to end the episode there, because that's quite a nice place. So, thank you very much for joining me. We're getting very close to the end of this book, and then it'll be a case of finding more paper. So, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, no matter what time of day it is. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.